Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. $1 billion. That's going to be the topic today. And you mention a figure like that, you know where I'm going. It's about the amount that has been approved to be sourced from the excess crude account to further prosecute the war against Boko Haram. Security is topmost and all of that, so we know all of that. I don't think anybody is arguing about the intention and what we want to do, how we're going to go. The problem, paraphrasing Senate President Bukola Saraki, is that this is not the right procedure. Only one body, one institution has the constitutionally derived right to approve money for appropriation anywhere and all of that. So as the Senate President said, some people, some senators, out of anger, quoting his words, out of anger are now taking a position that, so he was stressing that engagement is paramount and all of that. Okay, so we'll look at this. Dr. Tunji Abayomi is a constitutional lawyer and professional in politics. Good morning, Dr. Abayomi. Thank you very much for coming on. And Colonel Tony Iam, retired, is a security consultant. Thank you very, very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, Dr. Abayomi, because as I said, I don't think anybody is arguing about the need. Yes, you hear comments that, Shebi, you said Boko Haram has been degraded. Why are you now needing $1 billion and all of that? Yeah. All of that to one side. But give me your thoughts on the issue. It seems to me the bone of contention is that the National Assembly says, before announcing this, we should have been thoroughly engaged. We should be aware of all materials particular, but that is not the case. The announcement has been made that in the Council of State meeting, this approval has been given, and now we're going to communicate to the National Assembly for their approval. They still are angry. The National Assembly is angry.
I think there's a problem with that procedure constitutionally, in the sense that really it should be the National Assembly that communicates with the executive about monies allowed to be spent.
That's right.
The law, the Constitution, I think it's under Section 81, requires that the President will lay before each house of the National Assembly his budget estimate, specifying how much to be spent and for what purpose. And the National Assembly will approve. And then, after the approval of the budget, expenditure can then be authorized. When it comes to approval of money to be spent, that is exclusively the prerogative of the National Assembly. In terms of when it comes to real spending and for the purposes identified in that budget, it is exclusively the duty of the President. In other words, the question really with regard to that particular money is, was this part of the budget estimate presented and laid before the houses of the National Assembly and consequently approved for expenditure? If it wasn't, then the President cannot, I repeat, cannot constitutionally spend that money.
And if it was, Colonel Iam, the National Assembly wouldn't be, well, should I say, up in arms, but, well, Senator Bukola Saraki was, it's not as if he was foaming at the mouth or anything, but he still was registering very clearly the resentment of the National Assembly for perhaps how they have been treated might be the way they see it. He brought this up at a retreat that they were having, and it was discussed, and that's where he said that some senators are taking a position. Now, Dr. Abayomi's position, it seems to me that that's what the ordinary person would think, and I imagine that they know all about it in the presidency as well. All the governors were there, I think Governor Fayose wasn't, but he was represented. and nothing was done in secret, but was it a procedural matter? Give me your thoughts on the whole issue of what has now become a controversy.
I think to start with, the National Assembly members or the Senate should not be angry. They should do their work, and which is, it's their duty. What I see here is, as usual, the president was misled, as it were, just like you would have seen with the APC tenure elongation. He was misled to the point when he now realized that, look, if I go this way, it will be unconstitutional. And so it was a last-minute change of mind by the president when he realized that you couldn't go that way with the... Now, in a similar way, the idea, I think, was given that once the president calls the National State Council, the head of states, and the former head of states, and they are approved, yes, and then he goes through, you know. But I think as this was going on, and we thank the media and Nigerians who rose up to say no. So this reaction, which just came a day or two ago, was because people now pointed out, you are doing it wrongly again. And that's the whole point. The idea is this, is because if the ab initio, they were following the procedure, such amount of money has to be subjected to a debate by the people, and then, of course, finished in the House, which is the people's house. Without such deliberations, the government cannot stand and determine how it's going to use them, it's going to spend money. It makes proposals, and the people have to say yes. In other words, what am I saying?
Yeah. Well, it's clear what you're saying.
The nature of the money they're going to spend on now, you would see, this is why the whole accusations, whether the money is going to be used for elections or not, is arisen, because it was not subjected to proper debate before.
Okay. Now, I wonder, let me just throw some ideas up, Dr. Abayomi. Since the National Council of State, they concern themselves mostly with policy, that kind of a thing. It was agreed, was my thinking, among them at that highest of levels, where you have former heads of state, former leaders of Nigeria, all the governors, all the stakeholders together. So they had this policy direction that we need something like $1 billion to further strengthen, you know, the good work that is already going on.
Before a budget estimate is presented, it must be appreciated, and I like to emphasize this, that one of the most important aspects of the Constitution is control over public expenditure.
Yes.
And the reason is because a president that has all the powers invested on him by the nation, by the electors, has a tendency, or could have a tendency, to abuse that power, particularly when it comes to the nation's wealth and resources. Because of that, there's strict control over that. If you see what happened in the last government in this nation, it shows that thorough and complete abuse of that power. The money naturally is in the custody of the executive arm. But the money is only kept there subject to the approval for expenditure. And therefore, the issue of anybody sorting out a policy is immaterial and largely irrelevant. Okay.
But for the money to be available for expenditure,
for the money
the National Assembly must approve. Now there's nothing that is spoiling that trajectory right now, because it's not as if the executive has said, we don't really need the National Assembly on this one. They know full well that the National Assembly is an indispensable part.
You cannot say, with due respect, you cannot say that the president has approved or authorized a money that has not been that has not been submitted for approval in the budget. What I'm in essence saying is the president, the executive, is not allowed to spend a penny of the money of Nigeria.
Exactly.
The people's Nigerian money, not even 1 naira, without the approval of the National Assembly. Now, how does it do that? It's very straightforward. All the monies you wish to spend, howsoever or whatsoever, you lay it in a budget estimate.
Okay.
And you take it to the National Assembly. This is the money that I want to spend,
exactly,
and for this purpose. And I want your approval for this. If now he finds that the money that has been approved is not sufficient to meet national expenditure, he can go back and present what is called supplementary appropriation. The first one is what we call appropriation bill, and then it becomes an act once it is approved. But you realize that it is called budget estimate, because it is possible that what he presents to the National Assembly is either not sufficient, or the current of income is not sufficient for the budget estimate that was approved. That's why it's called budget estimate. Now, if it is not sufficient, it can go back for supplement, but he has no power.
Indeed.
It is important to authorize expenditure without a prior approval. I'm using 2 words now. There is approval from the National Assembly. There is authorization based on that approval by the president.
You know, I'm wondering, Colonel, that, look, could it be, and this is where I wish we could get hold of the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed. I wonder if nomenclature, use of words is not, you know, causing some fog here. Because as you've just explained, Dr. Abayomi has just explained, and I think every Nigerian, you know, every 15-year-old Nigerian knows what Dr. Abayomi has said is correct. Approval can only come from the National Assembly. So maybe the word approval that has given rise to this whole thing is an inappropriate word. Otherwise, the presidency won't still be saying that it will. Lai Mohammed called it, Minister of Information called it uninformed and unnecessary. I wish I could get hold of him to understand what he meant by uninformed and unnecessary. He went on to explain things that don't really enlighten that point, that it's not just for prosecuting the war against Boko Haram. There are other aspects, there are this, there are that. But the point is, we cannot move forward without the National Assembly coming in, and nobody is arguing about that. I don't even think that the presidency itself was hoping to rapala it in any way, shape, or form. It cannot be done. So might it be that perhaps a lack of the most careful phraseology has landed us in this controversy? Since you look at the actions and the presidency, they all know that nothing can be done until after the National Assembly has come in on the issue. And they've stated as much.
I think that knowing came later.
Okay.
There was an assumption. And because in some ways, if one lacks ability to pay attention to details, one could be misled to go in a direction.
Okay.
And I think that was what happened, because if you watched when the National Council of State met...
Yes, but I was going to say, sir, with such knowledge, former heads of state, all the governors, bar one, in place, these people know all these provisions.
The people... I was using the analogy earlier of what is going on within the APC. If they knew all that, they wouldn't have gone that far until some leaders of the APC called them to order. I think the likes of Ashiwaju called them to order. If they knew all that, they would have gone away with. But when they, of course, it was very impressive when the president had to apologize and appealed, and in a humble way, admitted that if they go this course, they'll be in trouble. And he appealed to. This is what has happened.
To his members to follow the Constitution. And
this is what has happened. As usual, lack of competence and the advisors playing sycophancy to the president, don't advise him well and properly enough. And when mistakes are made, if they could get away with it, they'll get away with. This is what has been happening Repeatedly.
Because the way you say it, you're making it sound like a bunch of bumbling, guys or up there.
No, you could, I can cite other examples that these are repetitions of the same thing we've been experiencing. So, having said so, in money before, we are not talking about 1 billion.
Yes.
What we should be talking first is the policy intention.
Yes.
That was not debated.
Okay, indeed. Let me come to that because we've been joined by Mazi Okoroafo. Good morning, Mazi.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, our guest in the studio.
Sure.
Honestly speaking, I thank you, Mr. You see, to me, I would just suggest that the federal government should look inward. What do I mean? There is an armed factory in Kaduna owned by the federal government in military. Can't we put such industry into use? Look at what is happening in China. Not every year, Nigeria will be importing arms. If all those boys and girls, the military or the soldiers or the police used to cut in any place, those ones have already been cut. Can the government gather them? That what they do is they gather all those food and put them in that industry in Kaduna here now. And get the equipment we need and manufacture. At least by the time those food put their heads together, we'll be getting more than at least. If Nigeria we have access to 5 arms, it will help us because every year we continue because we have the talents and we have the resources. Let's look inward. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mazi Okoroafo. I don't know where this whole maybe let me I remember something that Saraki said that, look, he was almost plaintive when he said that, where is the engagement, the required engagement? Now people are, by people he meant his fellow senators, are taking positions out of anger, and that's hardly the reason to take a position. So, you can see that it doesn't look like this has become a rougher fight yet. They seem to be worrying about legislative etiquette, and perhaps it's their right. Maybe the problem is no more serious than that of sorting out your etiquette, your manners, your good manners.
I think it's important. A part of the problem, in my view, is that
Sorry, sir. Can I just interrupt you? Yes. Beg your pardon for doing so. Let me take Mr. George calling in from Ikeja, and then I won't stop you again. Good morning, Mr. George.
Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
And good morning to the panel. Uncle Yori, kindly give me, if you can, 90 seconds to say 2 things I have in mind.
Sure.
First, on the topic at hand, this hula baloo about non-approval, I'm surprised that it has been taken to this level. The same people that have been crying every day that there's insecurity in the land, so many killings are here and there, are the same people now going against looking for money to tackle insecurity. Security is not cheap. I'm surprised that the military gentleman here is also even questioning the procedure. It cannot be in the way people expect it to be. Uncle Yori, the budget, the national budget that we talk about every year, the Council of State, the Federal Executive Council, usually first approve of it, and the President consents before it goes to the National Assembly.
Exactly.
So what is the difference between the budget and this one now? And if I remember, Uncle Yori, this same National Assembly approved certain amount of money for tackling security recently. So if they have already made that approval, when it comes to releasing the money, do they need a second approval? I may be making an ignorant statement there because the details need to be provided by the Minister of Information.
Indeed.
So all the hula baloo is because in the usual way, these monies are shared. Because this president will not come and say, I'll give you a certain percentage of it. This is why they are doing all this. The same, Uncle Yori, the same National Assembly that has been holding down the anti-corruption bills, the budget that the president sent to the National Assembly for the past 6 months is still there. It's not approved. So many nominees of the president are held down. They deliberately do it.
All right.
Is this the same people now that are now coming out to say they were not consulted? They don't have the moral authority to do that. That is one, Uncle Yori. Secondly, what happened yesterday on your station, I was worried about it. the lady that used to call you, frequently, made some statements, and you did not put her down. Because in a country where there is authority and constitution, the president of that country cannot be abused on air. Even if you want to criticize, there's a difference between criticism and say, how can a person come to the national television and say that the president of her country is sick of AIDS?
Is what?
And she was not shut down. I was worried about it.
Okay, okay, Mr. George. Thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate your call, and indeed have noted. We tried not to escalate because there was a guest in here yesterday, and a caller, had called in, and he took serious exception to her comments. Mr. George indeed has also taken the same position. And so let's say it didn't quite work out. It happens. We don't censor calls, and somebody was really going beyond the pale. And so that's what Mr. George was bringing up. And I thank you for, I just leave it at the comments that you have made. Thank you very much on that point for coming up. Now, going back to earlier comments that George made, that, look, we're still going for assembly. We're still going to the assembly for approval.
Yeah, but the point is this: if that position is correct, George's position, then there's no need for any reference from the executive to the National Assembly. If position of George, as I understand it, is that there was already an approval, and that this money is already part of the budget estimate that was approved by the National Assembly. If, in fact, it was already part of the budget estimate presented and approved by the National Assembly, expenditure of the money that is approved does not require the authority of the National Assembly. I want that to be understood. In other words, if, for example, 100 million naira is approved, for example, to build a bridge in my hometown in Okeagbe, and it's already approved, and it's part of the budget. In order to spend that money, the president does not need a second approval. However, if the money, 100 million naira for that bridge, was not part of the budget estimate presented to the National Assembly, and the president is of the view that I need to build this bridge and I need to spend this 100 billion naira, he cannot do it. His good intention, regardless of how beneficial to the people of Nigeria, cannot be executed with the monies, public money, without the approval of the National Assembly.
And, but the point for me is, I don't think, Colonel Iam, that there is any such intention, because even if there is the intention, there is no way.
No, you see,
there is no way for that intention, as Dr. Abayomi has.
The last caller, there was an apparent lack of clarity in this money they're talking of is not part of the budget. It wasn't part of the budget. So he is just, what he's saying is that we should ignore, and because there is a necessity, we should spend the money.
There is any such intention, because even if there is the intention, there is no way.
No, you see,
there is no way for that intention, as Dr. Abayomi has.
The last caller, there was an apparent lack of clarity in this money they're talking of is not part of the budget. It wasn't part of the budget. So he is just, what he's saying is that we should ignore, and because there is a necessity, we should spend the money. I think the last caller he has an ignorant assumption.
Okay.
The assumption is that...
I got to go on a break. Let's leave it there. We'll come back and continue with it. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Still looking at the $1 billion, shall we say, controversy, although maybe from the point of view of the presidency, it's not a controversy. But we're looking at whether or not the cart was put before the horse, because the National Assembly is saying, the presidency has said, from what we read in the reports, that the National Assembly will be communicated. It was put in the future tense, after things have been sorted out. And that seems to be the part that the National Assembly doesn't want. If you remember Senate President Saraki, I saw him on television yesterday saying that, where is this engagement, that the all-crucial, all-important engagement? And he seemed to be giving the impression that this wouldn't have been necessary. All these things we're talking about, bringing it up at the retreat, it seemed that he was just mostly concerned. I made the point that he shared with us that some senators have taken a position out of anger. Now, anger is not one of the yardsticks you use when you want to take a position. So it goes to show perhaps that it's an maybe politically emotional thing, but any way you look at it, no money is going to be expended without the express approval of the National Assembly. But you are saying, Colonel, that but it's a late realization, a late decision.
I think to be positive about the whole thing is that I would thank Nigerians for watching. That their money should not be spent by anybody, no matter how intimidating, whether you are president or whatever. It's Nigerian money, and it has to go through due process.
Of course.
And I'm also to thank the government that, just like I thank the president for that, when he realized that a mistake had been made, they've admitted. So
but Lai Mohammed, the Minister of Information, says all of this is uninformed and unnecessary.
No,
now you were saying...
No, I don't want to go into that. What I will go into, I will go to what the rep of the president in the Senate, Ita Enang,
okay.
He came out clearly, and he's made a clarification. From that, you will see that a mistake was made, and now they're trying to deal with the thing as it should be done. So I think that's, let us not overdwell. What is now what we should not go into? What is the shape and nature of this money? How is it going to be spent?
Exactly.
And this is to, in other words, to
well, these are the things that the National Assembly is going to be wanting to look at.
Just a minute. This is to deal with the issue of the allegations being made that the money is for election.
What kind of allegation is that?
No, the allegations being made by some governors that the money is for
opposition.
Is for election.
Yes.
Of course. Now, to deal with that allegation, we need to know.
Are you taking that allegation seriously?
To deal with that allegation.
Yeah, but would you, sir? Would you take that allegation seriously? That this is all a trick. This is all a trick to fund Buhari's election. Would any right-thinking member of society take it?
We are talking of a president.
And we're talking of a president who arrived on a platform of fighting against corruption.
Going by the examples, what has happened before, Nigerians have a right to question, because going by what happened before, going by what happened in Jonathan's regime, I think Nigerians have every right to question. The point here is, all I would say is that Nigerians, the defense needs more money.
Yes.
I've said that over and over.
Yes.
But what I would warn against is that if the money is directed only to buying equipment, the nature of the threat we face is such that half of that money should go for increasing our manpower on the ground.
This very point, if you look at all the reports, sir,
yes,
you see that the Minister of Information has made this particular point, that it's not just for procuring equipment. There are also ancillary issues. After all, what is hardware without manpower to utilize it?
No, but government cannot speak in terms of. Government should come out clearly to engage the people and tell them what the money will be.
I agree. Kani in Sulere, if I got your name right, please, thank you for holding on. You wanted to land on your... Okay, let me just go there. Okay, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yeri.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, at least my contribution this morning to the topic on the ground is coming as an advice. I'm a very good fan of this. Okay, I'm a very good fan of this program. My contribution this morning is coming as an advice to some of our callers. You see, the lives of George and Yakub, when they want to come and make contribution to national issues of this nation, they should be able to draw their party identity card and talk on the national issues as they affect the nation. not coming with the ID card of a political party, and whatever you are going to contribute will be in favor of that political party. You don't see anything wrong from that political party. It's not good. Let us discuss issues as affect Nigeria, as affect national interest, and that will be very good for all of us. That's the reason I want to say this one. I've been watching them right from before the election and after the election, and they're very good listeners to this program, and I know who contributes what at the whole time. Let them know that when they are talking on national television, people are watching. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Indeed, thank you very much, Mr. Kani from Surulere. I just wish we would thank you. We've heard you. We've now heard both sides, and wish we'd let the controversy rest so we can continue with the subject matters. But the point is, we don't censor. We don't censor calls here. We will interrupt if we feel that somebody has gone beyond the pale. But sometimes you get comments that you might not necessarily be happy with, depending on what side you're on. But thank you very much for the contributions on both sides. But going back to the point that you were making, sir.
No, what we should be concerned is, how is this money going to be spent?
Yes.
Because we need the defense.
And that's the job of the National Assembly.
Indeed.
Because before it can approve, it will want to understand all these things.
Certainly.
They have to make the case.
Certainly. Now, what I would say is that in doing all this, the issue or the threat we have is such that we need more people on the ground. And the issue of unemployment of our youths has to be factored in. I think...
Yeah, but this is a security, an exclusively security matter. Any people you're bringing into this are going to be, security professionals.
No. You see, the money is large compared to what we have. That in the usage of the money, it has to be a holistic strategy. If we're going to use the money and the money ends up, as I do hope it does not,
yes,
that we're going to buy equipment from Pakistan and Egypt, where there is, then it means that the allegations by some people will be correct. Because if we're going to be buying helicopters and things from Pakistan and Egypt, I have a problem with that.
Okay. Yakub has come on. Good morning, Yakub.
Yeah, Shifari, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And then good morning to the two gentlemen in the studio.
Thank you.
I respect Connor so much, and then my mentor, the former aspirant of governor of Ondo State.
Thank you.
See, Shifari, with due respect to the last caller, I think maybe he does not watch...
Yakub, I really do appeal to you to please go to the topic. We can't drag this thing on forever.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
But I'll say something, but I actually dropped that for the purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But let's come back to the issue.
Sure.
The issue on the ground is this. The Mr. President said that he needs weapons and some certain things to fight the war against insurgency. The question now is this. They are saying that Mr. President approve. Does it mean that the money has been released? It is no. And then the member of the National Executive Committee, and then I think a Senate President is among of the National Executive Committee. He was there. And then now the Information Minister has communicated this thing to our Nigerians that this thing will be properly communicated to the National Assembly in order to approve this money. But what is baffling me most is this. Are we going to wait? Because if you can see all the bill that Mr. President sent to the National Assembly, in particular, some of the people that need to pass the MDA, the National Assembly play politics with some of the nominees. Are you telling me that if this kind of a thing goes to the National Assembly again, they will fast track this thing and pass it in order for the money to be released? Because I listened to Senate leader. He actually said that by the time that presidency communicates this thing to them, they will speedily pass it into law and then release the communicate to them and then in order to release the money. But the issue is this. We need weapons to fight insurgency. I think here we are. I don't blame people that say that it is because of politics and other. It's because what happened in the last regime. They know where this money goes, but I can tell you, this one can never go in the same way because Nigeria people have already know what is on ground. Because we cannot leave our people die every daily basis. And then people are complaining that people are dying everywhere. And then they are still complaining the money must not be released.
All right, then.
Go from there. Thank you and God bless you.
Indeed, thank you very much. So, Yakub, there, this is what I said earlier. Could it be that there's a misuse of words so that the word approved used in the wrong place and at the wrong time has immediately alerted people who are taking the word correctly? If you use the word approved, then approved means approved, and you don't have the right to approve.
I think it's important for the people of Nigeria to understand the nature of the constitution that controls constitutional government in our democracy. The president of Nigeria has only one job, one all-important job. Apart from specific delegated authority, for example, to constitute its executive, to grant prerogative of mercy, to appoint ambassadors. Apart from those specified authority, he has only one job, and that is to execute the law and the Constitution. His job, his one singular job, is to execute the law and the Constitution.
Exactly.
Anything he wants to do, regardless what it is, must come within that penumbra of authority.
And the president
to
is law-abiding. I don't think anybody is going to get up and say that the president is not law-abiding.
Exactly. So now, if the president is going to spend the money, the first thing you have to ask is it in execution of the law or the Constitution? So if now you are saying that he's spending this money, the next question is, what does the law say about this money? The law says, I think a lot of times the problem is that our leaders don't take time to study the laws that control the other.
In spite of all the advisors around them.
Let me give you a
I've been holding
example.
on to one moment, sir. Isiaka in Kaduna has been waiting from when you started your speech band. Good morning, Mr. Isiaka in Kaduna.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and your guests in the studio.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for the correction you just gave to Mr. Yakub now. I mean, Mr. George. You see, everybody has his own opinion.
Isiaka, that was yesterday. I wonder, could you do us the tremendous favor of just, concentrating on the subject today? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Concerning this $1 billion. Okay.
Go on, please.
Okay, concerning this $1 billion,
sure.
Okay, we don't need this approval for ammunition. We have rules that are bad in this country. Schools are in disarray. Hospitals are in disarray. These men are killing people here and in the whole part of this country. They're not been enough of all those things. The money we know where it's going to. Those money are meant to prepare this money for election and to also equip the Fulani men more to kill Nigerians. They want to use it more to empower Fulani men to kill Nigerians. We don't need that approval for ammunition. Let them approve that money and put that money in education. Put that money in the health sector. Put that money on Nigeria roads.
Okay. Isiaka.
We are hungry in this country.
Okay, Isiaka.
We are hungry in this country. This is not the country.
Okay, Isiaka, thank you very much for your contribution. I just finished saying that we don't sense calls, and that means that we will get varied opinions. Some of them, such as the one you just expressed, you're right, and then we are limiting ourselves to a security topic. Of course, you're right, roads, all the other things, education, health, but we're concentrating on security.
You mean military security? Yeah. Because security means much more.
Yes.
What the gentleman was talking about, if you mean security, and they all have impact on the narrow military security, I think we shouldn't make the mistake that Nigerians have every right to demand to be informed and to be engaged.
Nobody is arguing that point.
No. So what I mean is, so the issue is this. What we are now is that I would say we should move forward.
Yes.
That a mistake was made and it's been corrected.
Perhaps. I say perhaps because Lai Mohammed said it's uninformed and unnecessary. All the talk. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. You see,
but he's one of them.
You see,
but they now need to quickly educate us on the uninformed part.
What we are used to, ambiguity. And we throw in ambiguity when it's convenient. And this is the usual thing.
Okay.
To be clear, a mistake was made, I would say. Let's move ahead. We need money. We need more money for security.
Yes.
Now, how that money will be spent is what we need to. The military or the defense has to make a proper case to the National Assembly.
Exactly.
So that the money that needs to be, and my submission is that we should not push that money too much in the name of going to buy arms.
You said so, that you don't care for military equipment coming from Pakistan or Egypt. You've said it. So you want only the best.
With all the implications.
You want the biggest bang for that buck,
and also to spend into, so that Nigerians can be, we can increase the number of people on the ground.
Sure. Divine in Apapa. Good morning, Divine.
Yeah, good morning, Chief Okuyori.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I want to contribute to the issue on ground.
Sure.
Yeah, the issue is that we are not telling ourselves the truth. The idea says that what eats a leaf is on top of the leaf. They are not telling us the truth, what they want to use that money, and they are not following the right channel. And once they are playing politics, they are bound to fail. We know that security problem is a thing of concern for everybody in this country. But they cannot come up and tell us that that money that they are claiming, they want to use it really for that very purpose. Okay. Because a lot of things have gone under the bridge. And yet, we cannot come up and say we can defend it. Because they are playing politics in everything. They are playing pure politics.
Well, thank you, Divine. Thank you. Because your point has been made that you don't believe what has been said by the executive, which would be unfortunate actually, because I'm trying to sit down here and imagine how a president of any country, and Nigeria, will lie to his people. An outright lie.
No, we're in a democracy. I don't think this word lying or doesn't come in.
Yeah, but when you say you don't believe what has been said, that we have an urgency. We have an urgency.
What they're saying is that the president has to be seen to be believed.
Yeah, he has to be seen to be, he mustn't just like Caesar's wife. You're not just going to be clean. You must be seen to be clean. Indeed. And that part of the seen to be clean part, I imagine, is the National Assembly that must sign off on the matter.
That is it.
Now, the whole issue, we've talked about it, and you said your opinion is that they made a mistake. They were going to go like that until they were pulled up.
Not just only that. Let's also remember, under Section 88 and 89 of the Constitution, the National Assembly can conduct investigation into any issue regarding expenditure by any government department, including the president, in protection of public money or the interest of the people.
Now, since this government arrived, since this administration arrived and was very, very accusatory with evidence of what all the problems that had gone in the past regime, now people are saying that Governor Fayose, for instance, has said that his own personal opinion is that they've just sourced money for the 2019 election of President Buhari and all of that. A Buhari administration that came on and has been giving us ad infinitum details of the wrongdoings of the past. I don't know, nobody's an angel, but would you say that this government will now come in and begin to use those same kind of devices, ask for money for security, for military security, as you were pointing out, Colonel, whatever, and then begin to share it among themselves? Well, I don't understand
Let me just say something.
I don't know. Oh, somebody from the UK, right? Are they in the UK? Good morning. Are they in the UK? Can you hear us? Good morning. Are they in the UK? Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead,
How
please.
Are you?
Good. Go ahead. We've been waiting for you.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Good morning. I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. Good morning. Yeah, I just want to contribute to the topic on ground. I believe, like Mr. George said, when there is a need for expenditure, it will go to the our Federal Executive Council, where there is the approval before sending it to the Senate. It's because of the type of people we are in Nigeria. We read into every little thing. I mean, giving approval, as the money is spent, as the money is sent out, so giving approval for it to be sent to the National Assembly as a bill. I don't see any big deal in all these things. They are all distractions. We are just wasting time. And then the opposition has the right to say anything they want to say because this is a democracy. Everybody has to say whatever they want to say. In the previous administration, this money was used for politics. So average Nigeria will believe these people are doing the same line. It's not left for the government to prove that, well, that is not the case. So I don't see any argument, for us to be laboring ourselves on this simple issue. To me, it's not an issue.
Okay.
The issue the bill has been sent to the National Assembly, period. Let's move on. I'll stop discussing all this. Let's discuss better issues concerning the nation.
Okay, then thank you very much for calling in, Ade. This is also one of the better issues because it's all about transparency. It's all about the democracy that we're running. As soon as people, Colonel started off by thanking the media and commentators for bringing this whole matter out into the open, indeed, as should be, so that we understand. Just wish Lai Mohammed had been a bit more explicit about the uninformed and unnecessary. It might well be at this point of view that, look, expenditure, we've got to get all our ducks in a row so we know what we're talking about, because when the National Assembly gets hold of this, it is their right to get copious explanations. And so it's only when none of the former heads of state, none of the governors will be against the matter that they can now say, fine, now let's pass through this and send it to the National Assembly. It might be as simple as that, but it also might have some other matters. I don't know. Hello, Madam Josephine, good morning. You want to talk on... Good morning, madam.
Uncle Yari.
Good morning, madam. Let's talk on the topic today.
Yes, I don't intend to cause problem in your station. This is democracy. Everybody has the right to view their point. You don't have to bring problem because of statement. It's a democracy. You see what you don't like, you stay in Georgia and the rest. This station is not a PC station. We have the right to air our view.
Yes, but that's enough. Madam Josephine, yes. Please, the topic today.
Okay, for the topic today, we are only asking of money. The root cause of the problem, the root cause of security, insecurity, the root cause. We have been spending money, approving money, buying weapons, but there is a root cause of it. What is it? Bad governance. Not doing the right thing, not investing in human capacity. When you don't train people, when people are not educated, they will resort to another thing.
But this is a long-standing problem, Madam Jo, this is a long-standing problem in Nigeria, right?
We know.
Yes.
We know.
So we're not saying that this is the problem of this administration.
They voted them in. And since they came, we are assisting what we are seeing. That's why we are complaining.
All right.
We are complaining.
Okay.
Not spending money. You spend money and things is still going the same way. That is not it. Invest on human capacity. People are hungry. They will resort to violence.
Okay,
let there be infrastructure. Let there be education in the north, mostly in the north.
Okay.
They lack education in the north. That is why they resort to all kind of crimes there, to all kind of violence. There should be proper leadership from the local government to the federal level. Okay. Proper leadership, please.
Okay. Thank you very much for calling in. Yes.
Well, we have said it in this station.
Yes.
Again and again, that the leadership of the North, the elite, and when we are talking of the elite, from the royal oligarchy, military oligarchy, political oligarchy, and community leadership, have really disappointed the nation. They spend so much time talking about the North and the North and the North, somewhat antagonistically as compared to the South. But actually, they have largely abandoned the needs of the North. There is no way, and I completely agree with her, unless effort is made to reduce the toil, the pain of the huge population, uncontrolled population of the North, and uncared for population. Because I was...
And the low education
Yes, I
index.
once was in the north for the first time, and I saw Al-Majiri, big boys with the future, great future. All of them will leave. I even made this prediction as far back as 1993 when I was in detention.
So some of these are the root causes. This is the point Josephine is making.
Sure.
That these are the root causes of the problem we have
today.
today.
Look at the problem of this nation, the cost of public money to handle the endemic problems in the north. It is a very sad situation. We have Al-Majiri, we have Boko Haram, we have Al-Azazaki, we have herdsmen, all from the north. And a whole lot of our public wealth is going there to deal with the problem. Meanwhile, we have no water, no road, no health, no nothing.
And these are remote
what she's
issues.
talking about,
Okay, we've run out of
I
time
think
now.
there's a need for the north to meet, to deal with the problem of the north.
Okay, as I said, we've completely run out of time, but we've looked at this from different angles. We can't really be, you know, we can't say for sure, but we can only quote Lai Mohammed, who said it's unnecessary and uninformed. Only Lord knows what that means. But thank you very much, Dr. Tunji Abayomi and Colonel Tony Iyam. Thank you very, very much for coming on the program. That's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. Jones Hussein will be in the seat. I'm Yori Folani. See you day after. Bye-bye for now.